Hi, this is Ben Solomon, and welcome to this episode of the Techno Leadership Show. In this episode, we are going to be talking about a question that I see getting asked a lot, and something that I used to believe was needed, which is certifications. If you're in a technology sort of role, IT, there is a significant belief that we need to have certifications to get a specific job that we're going for. Unless it's a niche situation, like I see in the security space, there is some credibility to having certain certifications, especially certain certifications like CISSP tend to be valued a bit more by organizations when they look at you for a cybersecurity role and so on. But if you're someone who is in your early stage of your career, I don't think certifications make as much of a difference as having a real passion for what you do, having a real understanding, not experience, understanding of how to troubleshoot, how to problem solve, how to think, all those areas. Think logically. If you have a good understanding of, if you're going into like a tech support sort of role, having an understanding of the OSI model is beneficial, because that way you can logically go step by step to see at which level you're encountering issues. Those sort of things are really good frameworks to see and work with when you're working in the field. I thought, look, when I first moved to Australia, 2007, I already had about 3 years of experience working in the field, part-time and full-time, working for a small business, but also for as an outsourced partner of a big business. So it's not like I was, working in the back office of my father's company or something like that. It was an actual proper business that I was working part-time for, and then it was an outsourced partner for a huge multinational computer business that I was providing tech support for. And I had done my CCNA and I had done my MCSE, not just MCP. It was MCSE, the whole 8 or 9 MCP certifications together to do that. This was in Server 2003, mostly around Exchange, so it was called messaging back then. So I had done all these things, and I came to Australia. I had experience, I had a degree in engineering, like all the things that we are told that we need to have, and we, without that you can't get into the field, is the perception that is created. But I found none of that was valuable. I mean, it being there might be a differentiating factor. Let's say if two people have exactly the same thing and one person has a certification more, they might get a opportunity. But then after that period, I grew in my technical roles and then became an IT manager and then became a director of IT. And in both roles, I've done recruitment. And in none of those recruiting that I've done have I ever looked at, has this person got a certification? It did not matter, because at the end of the day, after working for more than a decade at that stage, and now close to 2 decades in the industry, I know for a fact that certifications are not everything. There are people who are good at doing the certifications, but can't save themselves in the field. And I would prefer if when I'm recruiting, I'd prefer to have someone who can think on their feet and problem solve than someone who's got a certification but has zero clue what they're doing. To me personally, entry level and mid level roles, I believe certifications are not really needed. If you've got it, it might be satisfying some HR requirement that they've got on the job description. But in most cases, what I've noticed is how you present yourself and the experiences that you've had matters a lot more than any certification, any degree, anything else you've got. So if you can position your prior experience, whether it's in the industry or outside the industry, into something that will be beneficial to the business in that role, you have a higher likelihood of being called in for an interview, and higher likelihood of then, if you do your interview well, which is again presenting the fact that you bring value to the organization. That's the end result. You're selling the fact that if you are given the job, that organization is going to benefit more than employing the other people that they're interviewing. That's pretty much it. And if you can do that, you get the job and you grow in the job. Unless you're someone who's absolutely lazy and doesn't have any passion for technology and probably got into technology or engineering just for the money, you're going to grow. Like, if you got in there just for the money, you're going to hate it. Like, you are going to hate it because things change on a daily basis. There is a lot of stress because it's a completely different way of operating. Whereas if you actually go in with the love for the thing and love for the result that you can get, then you will have the desire, the passion, and the capacity to focus your time, your energy, your resources on growing yourself, growing your knowledge, and being at the cutting edge and being able to solve problems for the businesses that you're working for with that knowledge and with that understanding. So do you need certifications? I personally think you don't really need it to start off with. If you've got it, well, it's probably going to be an advantage, but it's not needed. And most people who are recruiting staff, because I speak to other directors of IT and other IT managers, and we all agree that certification is not what it's touted to be. And we understand that we can teach people who have the desire to learn, who have the understanding to logically think and problem solve a lot more than someone who just has a certification but doesn't have the other capacity to think, problem solve, and and then serve customers. So that's basically it. As I said, unless you're going into a niche area, security for example, some telecommunication and ISPs require, if you're going into like a senior level, a network engineer, network designer, architect sort of role, some businesses tend to require you to have a CCNP or a CCIE. Those sort of things are there. So when you're going into those sort of really high level roles, it will be some organizations need it just so that you can prove your knowledge and expertise. Especially something like a CCIE is not an easy certification to get. So that, it takes that much dedication, that much deep understanding to be able to get through the certification process. So those kind of certifications, when you're at the top end of your career, going into like a big architecture role, high levels, senior and network designer and network engineer, that sort of role, yes, it'll be beneficial. But for your junior and mid-level roles, and in small businesses, even if you're going to like CIO, CTO positions, or IT management, or senior infrastructure engineer, network engineer, systems engineer, the fact that you have experience in the platforms that they want experience for is more important than any certification, any degree, any other thing that you can have. But if you can prove that you are consistently learning, doing courses to keep yourself up to date, which might be short courses that you do, might be on LinkedIn Learning, might be on Udemy, might be on other platforms, as long as you can demonstrate that you are someone who takes self-responsibility to grow, that is more than enough in these sort of roles. So hopefully that clears up one of those big misconceptions that you need to have certifications to get into these even junior and mid-level roles, and even some senior roles. You don't really need it. So, and this is from me, who's been on both sides of the recruiting side, as someone who applied for those roles and then got to be on the other side of the table recruiting staff into my teams. So hopefully that helps you out. Hopefully that clears up some of the fears and misperceptions that people have. And I wish you all the best in your journey as a tech professional, manager, and leader. And I look forward to speaking to you in a future episode. Take care. Have a fantastic day.